For February the 25th, 2022, we talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus, Simulacra, and State of Decay 2. Welcome to Level 404. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Jala Prendes.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. I'm going to begin with a programming note, just so I don't forget. There will be no regular episode next week because I will be in the Elden Ring mines.
Oh, yeah.
Woo-hoo. Yeah. But Jala and I have already recorded something that'll be coming out. We did the bonus level about the second Phoenix Wright game. Justice for all at long last.
You guys are the heroes we want and deserve. So thank you.
I mean, I'm glad you said it because I couldn't say it myself.
It's not a very hero thing to say.
Yeah. Right. So, thank you, Jala, for hopping on. And I just wanted to apologize here for everybody. Sorry it took so long. That damn circus case, it got up under me.
Well, very understandable. Also, I will freely admit that when we were recording that, I was like, okay, it's been a very, very long time since I played this, and I played another Phoenix Wright since then. Yep. It was not, from the first trilogy, but, I did play Great Ace Attorney Adventures, and so I was like, I don't know. So if we're a little scrambly, apologies on that. Yeah.
But it'll be that'll be there in your feeds, and then we should pick up the week after that. And I thank everybody for understanding. Jala, how's it going? What you been up to since you were on last?
I've been shoveling a lot of compost, and I've been planting a lot of plants for days and days. I've been using a pickaxe on. Okay, so Texas soil, at least in the part of Texas that I am in, is black gumbo is the name of it. And it is so highly clay filled that we had to break it with a pickaxe.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. And break it into chunks, and then break those chunks with the pickaxe to get them to loosen up enough to mix some compost in there. And then, the problem is, if we left it alone too long, if it wasn't really fresh and we didn't mix the compost in right away, it went back to being melded together into a giant clay mound. And
boy.
And so I had 3 cubic yards of compost delivered, and because Dave works a highly physical job and I do not, I was trying to do all of the actual shoveling and hard work myself. Dave did help with some of the breaking up stuff with the pickaxe on part of the beds that I was working on, but most of that was by and large me.
Okay.
And then most of the compost shoveling was also me, and mixing and stuff. He was working on side project of trying to get a weed barrier around all of this, which of course involves using a pickaxe to dig a trench.
We need
to go deeper.
Gosh.
So anyway, we are both ready to become farmers, or at least homesteaders, and
Cool.
we went to the farmers market here locally to just kind of get to know some folks who do sustainable urban, agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
And
are they all yoked from all the pickaxing?
No, some of them actually are smart and have a greenhouse and do hydroponics, so they don't have to do anything with soil. But to be fair, most of our nutrients come from the soil, so traditional methods are pretty good. Anyway, I got this one really funny carrot that I posted to the internet along with my beautiful commentary about how thick it is.
Yeah.
It's a bifurcated carrot that looks like it's got a crotch and some Legos and a butt, And anyway, it's some things you can find that on my Instagram and Twitter and all those places that I post things. So,
that
feel free to go check out.
Just be ready for it to awaken your latent vegisexual desires.
I have that sucker on my wallpaper on my phone, and it's funny because the wallpaper zooms in real close, and so I'm like, wow, it's really moist. Because I had just washed it by the time I took this video, so it was like, oh, okay. I'm probably gonna have to change that because that's gonna just be too weird for me.
Somebody will see it, and
I like veggies, but there's a point.
Yeah, Kara gonna make me act a fool. That's dumb. Don't laugh at that. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope that the hard manual labor of literally breaking up stones is at least somewhere close to being behind you.
I am baller like Chris. I will punch a boulder. Don't you worry. Yeah. No, but seriously, at this point, we've got all the beds fixed up. I am just transplanting some of the stuff that I had in my giant container garden around my house. And I still have some more compost to mix in with the soil that I have in all of the containers around my office, which... once I mix everything together, I will be planting all of the crazy sprouts that are growing in I have a little seed starter kit thing, and all those sprouts pushed off the lid and have gone crazy.
They are eager.
They are eager, especially the squash and the peas. I posted in the backstage on the Slack so you can see those crazy, crazy sprouts going everywhere. So... though I will have a big veggie garden in the back, and then all of the pretty flowers and stuff will be around the front of the house where everybody else can enjoy them. So I'm gonna have to put some flowers around my house too, around my office, so I can see them and see the bumblebees and stuff. I like them.
Nice.
So. Yeah. Anyway, other than me actually literally being Stardew Valley, how's everybody else been?
I've been doing other home stuff. I went up the one place where I could get a hold of a bathroom vanity to replace my my current one, which has some water damage and also was just way too big for that bathroom. Get an itty bitty bathroom. I got a good one that was more svelte.
It was more like healthy sense of pride than vanity.
That was good. That was a thinker, but it was good. So I was up near Lake Erie, and so that was neat to go up and go to the old State Park Beach where I used to camp in college. Got just wild summer daytime 10 a.m. drunk on whiskey while car camping at age.
Wait, in the college days or now?
No, oh my God! I mean, I would die if I did that today, I would die. No, but back in the old days, doing car camping and stuff, and that was also around where we had getting the boat launched to go fishing when my dad and I used to take us out on the lake to go fishing on Lake Erie and stuff. So it was it was neat to go up and see. Everything was shut down because of the winter, but the lake was all frozen and stuff, and it was cool to look out there. It was I don't know. It was this is this coming out of my mouth makes it sound incredibly boring, but it actually was nice and wholesome, so I stand by it.
Did you know? I think it's 80 degrees here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so this is weird. It's 60 degrees here, but on Sunday it was 18.
I mean, do you guys remember the groundhog died? We are going to have the fastest and hottest summer ever.
Yeah, right.
Oh man,
that or the winter will never end. It just depends on where you are in the country, I suppose.
Yep. Yeah. So
now, Cole, your description makes me have an outright Thomas Kincaid painting in my mind. So
the frozen lake was pretty cool. But yeah, no, that was neat, and that was kind of the only notable thing other than just a whole bunch of work, which people will hopefully see the fruits of soon. So
is that calm before the storm of playing the new Dark Souls game on Friday?
I mean, there is some like cramming for episodes that we need to record early, so we don't record very much next week. But a lot of it has been like back end Patreon changes. Basically, I mean, cleaning up the house before your coworkers come over and see the inside of it for the first time, kind of deal.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
hopefully people people want to patronize us to hear our Elden Ring coverage, and I want everything to be in kind of a little bit better like organizational shape for people to find old content and stuff. So it's just been a shitload of. I described it in a blog post that I did on the Patreon. It's like playing the lowest stakes version of Papers, Please. Going and checking individual posts and stuff. So,
oh man,
oh yeah. So a bunch of that and much more of it in my future. But you know, I am a happy warrior. Let's see, Ben. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I think one thing I did over the past week is I saw the movie Nightmare Alley. The new Guillermo del Toro movie. People should just give him money to make like whatever movie he wants to make, because he seems to like make like movies that are just feast for your eyes like every time he makes a movie.
It's a very talented man.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was enjoyable. It's pretty dark at times and pretty depressing at times, but like of his movies, I was pretty satisfied with like the ending more so than some of his other movies. So yeah, that's it.
I really didn't even know that he had that he had a new one out. So that's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of in and out of theaters here, but then it came back, I think, after the Oscar announcements.
Gotcha.
Oh, I thought it was primarily on some streaming platform. Like
it might, yeah. It's probably
sponsored by Netflix or whatever, and that's why it kind of didn't get as wide a release.
Gotcha. Yeah. The movies are really, I think, weird right now with the Oscar season. Like, there's like I don't know how it is in other places, but like a lot of the theaters are showing like a showtime once a day or like once every other day of like a bunch of different movies to try and, I guess, get people who are trying to watch all the movies that are nominated for Academy Awards. But
yeah, we don't.
I have not checked.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, all of our theaters around here are like chain stuff, so I also haven't checked. But based on what my stepdad says, every showing, like every screen is just showing Spider-Man. Just every all time slots, every screen. Yeah.
Well, there's the new Uncharted movie out. I don't know if this is. I don't know if that makes video game section or before whatever section. But are you planning on seeing that, Dennis?
I am, although I'm swerving pretty hard to avoid all the headlines I'm seeing about how terrible it is. It's like no. I just want to go have fun and not have all the ways it's bad pointed out to me. But I my expectations are set. I'll go and enjoy it. But I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool.
Nice. Dennis, aside from avoiding Uncharted movie spoilers, or what's going on?
Yeah, I haven't gotten around to it yet because I have some other really exciting stuff going on. So as we record, sitting on my desk in front of me is the pre-production physical sample of Deck of Wonders.
Oh, congratulations!
So I just put a link to it in our backstage. Let's see if I can get this to actually, make sound. Tell me if you can hear this.
Oh, that sounds like progress.
Yes, I got the physical game, and miraculously, like everything was packaged exactly right. And so we were able to like approve it, go straight ahead into production. So that is very exciting. Nice. And by the time this goes up, so on Friday, we will have released the foreteller audio for the game. So this is all the little story segments that I wrote that you kind of unlock and read as you're playing and getting new cards. Were done like professionally, fully produced audio, dramatized versions. I want to call it a radio version, but obviously no radios were involved. Yeah. But it is beyond my wildest dreams that this thing is already like a multimedia thing, and it is super dope. Every artist involved, every voiceover artist involved was incredible. And I'm just so proud of the way the audio came out. So that will be released to everyone, and anyone who backed gets a free download for that to listen to as they play.
That's so exciting.
It is. it is really exciting for that to come out from behind the scenes, because I've been, working on that with Foreteller for a long time, and it is honestly one of the parts of the game that I'm most excited for. So if you're listening to this, just go check out the Kickstarter for updates, and there will be links to all the cool stuff.
I'm just now hearing about this card game for the first time. It's called Deck of Wonders, you said? Okay.
Yes,
and if as a potential consumer who is intrigued by this, innovative, and let's say groundbreaking, single player, deck builder, kind of game, like where would I go to exchange currency for it?
Right now, you'd have to break into my house and steal it from me.
At a later time, it's fine. I'm not in a hurry.
No, I follow.
Yeah.
No, you go to GameFound and search for it, and it'll be on there.
It's called Deck of Wonders, you say?
It is called Deck of Wonders. Okay. It is I'll get out my brand pyramid here and read to you from it. If you listen to the show, you've heard me talk about it ad nauseum. It is so exciting to have a physical version of it, and it's really cool. And so I'm just very excited right now for all of that.
Yeah, no, just by the tone of your voice, you're glowing. Which you should be.
I don't need any lights on in the room.
It's a problem. You should see a doctor.
I probably shouldn't have done those uranium-based add-ons.
Well, just that little splash of radium hand painted on it just really makes everything pop. The sacrifice is worth it.
Yes,
it's like an alarm clock in the 50s.
Yep.
That's a good
that style though.
Yeah, that's a good book. The Radium Girls. I've talked about that a lot. No, it's about back before they knew that radium was radioactive poison. They used to paint it on everything, and it's a book that like chronicles the horrible labor rights problem that was the fate that befell these women who were hand painting, and just like, licking the paintbrush to keep the point fine so they wouldn't get yelled at. Yeah, it's a real nightmare.
I think of Radium Eyes, which is the song from the first Guitar Hero before they had money to license anything and just kind of put their own shit on the game.
Yep, all the bonus tracks with the developer bands. Yeah.
I believe Radium Eyes was the only song to have 3-fingered chords.
I think you're thinking of all of this. All of this was the
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Editor's note, Dennis was right. I was wrong.
No. Glad we got that settled from 10 years ago.
Hey, I'm
We've
real
shifted
sorry.
into video games. I'm sorry.
17 years ago, 2005.
Oh, no. So, 10 years ago.
Anyway.
Oh, man.
We should probably do a regular kind of game since video games are bleeding in. A regular kind of show, rather. See? There, I said game instead of show.
Games are bleeding in.
Yeah. So we've got, the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with...
The grind.
The grind. Jala, you've been away the longest, so I will ask you, what have you been playing the last period of time or so?
Okay, well, I have been playing a little tiny bit of a few games that I can't really talk about, and then like 2 phone games to completion. So you get to hear about phone games today.
Hey, I like phone games.
So the first one is Simulacra. It is a 2017 found phone horror mystery game by Kaigan Games, which is a Malaysian dev. It was originally Android and iOS, but is now on Switch, PS4, Xbox, and Steam as well. You found the phone of a young lady named Anna who is missing. And you're interacting with people, like friends of hers and stuff, on her phone and unlock the mystery of her disappearance via Spark, which is like Tinder, Jabber, which is like Twitter, her vlog, emails, and of course just like her messages that people text over. You work to recover her lost files and figure out what really is happening. There are 4 different endings and an Easter egg, which is supposedly like a quote-unquote 5th ending, but not really. Like it's just like a little add-on bit. And what's really going on goes beyond a kidnapping or a murder story, and it was really interesting to me. Greg, or Soulblazer, depending upon how you know him in the community, played it after I started and did not like the big reveal as much as I did. So I think how it lands will be a matter of personal preference and whether you like the idea of games making a point or if you're just in it for a standard fare mystery story. Obviously, I can't talk about that without revealing too much. So it's interesting. I like it quite a bit. And it was just recently here on sale on Steam. So it does go on sale with some degree of regularity.
Yeah.
So this was a phone game that you got through Steam?
It was a phone game that I played on my phone, but it also was available on Steam.
It on Steam.
Yeah.
You can get it on Steam and PS4 and Xbox and so on.
I don't understand. How can a game be on multiple consoles at once? That doesn't make any sense.
This has been on my X-Crank list for a little bit. I think I got it in a bundle or something like that. I only knew the vaguest kind of outline of what it was about. I knew it was FMV. So would you recommend, I mean, even if it's not for the show, or even if it's not for a stream, would you recommend playing it?
I would recommend playing it. It's not super, super long. If you sit down for a long span of time, you can finish it in one sitting. I do not play games for that long of a chunk at this time because of all the other things I am doing, such as shoveling. So
that's it. That's the list. That's all you've been doing.
That's all. Yes, that is it. So anyway, I don't know how well it would go in format of like a stream, just because like you are fiddling with stuff and like getting text messages, and especially the first one, you get like one text message followed by another text message, and you have to wait while the person is quote unquote typing.
Does it ever have the dots come up and then go away,
yes,
and then come up and go away and nothing ever said?
And then for 5 minutes, and then the answer is okay.
God.
So yeah. Be aware of that. I would recommend that people play it, but like I said, the mileage on the ending just will vary depending upon what you're in for on a game. Now, the second game that I've been playing is Simulacra Pipe Dreams, which is kind of like the 1.5, because there's Simulacra Pipe Dreams, and then there's Simulacra 2. I have not played 2 yet. Pipe Dreams is 100%. Well, it's free on iOS. I don't know about other platforms. Probably free there as well.
Free on Steam. Yep.
Yes. So that one is a spin-off of Simulacra, also by the same dev, released in 2018. Like Simulacra, this game has 4 endings and an Easter egg. And this one follows your interactions with your friend Teddy, who recently got hooked on a free-to-play game called Flappy Bird, as in P-E-E. And it's
a bird that pisses.
It's a pissing bird, yes. And birds don't piss.
Yeah.
They have like combo droppings. They that have like their piss and their poop all together in one thing.
Cloaca.
So,
we talk about cloaca quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So. For people who are not familiar with birds, so they don't pee, but anyway, this is a peeing bird, and you squirt pee to bolster yourself up in the air to dodge through some pipes and other obstacles.
I love that the evolution is that birds forego wings in favor of jetpack style pee.
Yeah. So anyway, you get looped into playing this too because he gets eggs in the game, which he needs for power-ups if he can get other people to play the game as well.
Oh, that's evil.
By recruiting people. And there are, of course, ads that pop up, and all of them are absolutely hilarious. And it's all the devs that are just doing the acting on those, and it's funny as hell. The devs are just having so much fun, and they were just making fun of shovelware mobile games and freemium games, just super hardcore in just the best way possible, and I loved it. And
it's somehow a front for mining Bitcoin, right? That feels like where this is headed.
Yeah. No. So anyway, the writing in Pipe Dreams is significantly better than in Simulacra, but Simulacra's presentation and like pacing and stuff is better. So like there's pluses and minuses. Like this one is not really a fully. It's a little bit shorter than the Simulacra, the original game, as well. Like I want to say it's about half the size of the first game. It's pretty short, and it kind of like presupposes that you have played the first game and are familiar with the setup and what's going on. But the writing is more natural and it feels more like a native speaker, whereas in the first game you could definitely tell that the devs were working with a second learned language.
Yeah.
So they cleaned that up quite a bit. And they also, like in the first game, when they have all the text messages going back and forth, one thing I didn't mention is that there are egregious misspellings of stuff all throughout there because these are people texting each other, and I guess for realism purposes they had all these typos and stuff. They don't have that in Pipe Dreams. Like I guess they got enough feedback from people saying that they were irritated with that they don't do that. They do like nix that on the second one.
Mm-hmm. Was it ever to the point that it was hard to know what they were trying to write, or was it just annoying to see misspellings?
It was just irritating. Like I don't talk to people who write like that, so it's frustrating when I see it. And so like to sit there and then get like 70 billion, like you're sitting here waiting for them to type and it's like one line, two words, one line, and that kind of thing. Pop. Anyway, Pipe Dreams is very, very witty, and it makes its point really early on in the game, so the resolution of the actual story is less significant than the way the big reveal was handled in Simulacra, the original game. That said, I still had a lot of fun playing the whole thing, and I really like that each of these games has a very specific introspective message that the devs wish to convey, along with being like a horror mystery game. Yeah. And I am definitely going to play Simulacra 2, as well as Sarah is Missing, which was their first game that this dev came out with. Mm-hmm. It's also free. Sarah is Missing is free. So if people want to check out a game, Pipe Dreams and Sarah is Missing are both free from this dev if you want to give them a shot. I do not know about Sarah is Missing. I've been told that it is a little bit more horror focused, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Do you need to have played the first one to understand the Pipe Dreams kind of 1.5?
I don't think that you do. I mean, like it all takes place in this presupposed found phone kind of situation, and people know how phones work. So I'm pretty sure people can figure out what's going on and how to play it. But I do feel like Pipe Dreams is kind of like, it feels kind of like a DLC or something for the original game to me. Like, because it is so much shorter and it like makes his point really early on and is just kind of like a cleaned up extra, but if that's the entry point that people have, definitely just take a look at it and see what you think about it. And if you like what you're seeing when you're playing that game, definitely give Simulacra 1 a try. But understand that by, the next year after they released that game, a lot of the things that they are doing in Simulacra 1 that were a little bit annoying were ameliorated with their second entry.
Yeah.
In the series. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Simulacra and Simulacra Pipe Dreams.
Any questions?
Because of the amount of FMV, does it take up a lot of space if you play it on the phone?
I actually have no idea, because my phone has a lot of space on it. So I don't even look at that when I'm figuring it out. I have to go look in the store and see how big it is
All right.
to figure out.
Not intrusive enough to be noticed for you, at least.
Not for me. I didn't notice.
I mean, I would prefer you not start downloading it now, Dennis. If
I'm
possible.
not. I'm not downloading it. I just didn't know if it told you on the. Oh, it's 550 3 megabytes.
Yeah, it's not terrible. Yeah. No, I was just joking about Dennis not downloading it now because
okay.
it would mess with the recording. He's an underwater robot. We're back to the Skype days. Nice. No, that's I'm glad to get a first-hand account of what those are like, because I've had them for a while, and also the fact that it is from a Malaysian developer, I'm kind of always seeking those out, seeking out games that are not made in the three primary regions. Well,
I will say that I was playing the game and I started commenting on it in my little personal Discord, and Greg decided to give it a shot because I was playing it and because it happened to be on sale at the time on Steam. That's how I knew it was on sale recently on Steam. And he ended up not just playing the first game, but he played through Pipe Dreams and finished that one up a little bit after me. And then he went on and finished Simulacra 2, and he really liked it enough, like the whole series enough, that he wants to go and find more games of that style because he really liked how they worked, and just just everything about how it was going. So that's not just like an endorsement from me. That's also somebody else played it and also liked it. So double endorsement there.
Yeah.
Nice.
My understanding, there are 2 others, like FMV mystery adventure games, let's say. 428 Shibuya Scramble is one that I have heard good things about. And there is one made by the Danganronpa guy who's with a title that I cannot remember, but I can look up.
I think it's Woke But Horny.
No, that sounds familiar. That sounds familiar. I think we're good.
Yeah, I was like, oh boy, you want my blood pressure to go through the roof the moment I pull it up in the App Store just out of curiosity. But at least if I know the title of it, I will not unintentionally buy it without realizing it's the same person who did those games. I'll at least know.
It's called Death Come True. Yeah, that is another one. Like games that are in that same kind of. I mean, they're different kinds of stories from my understanding of them than what you described, but they are FMV adventure mystery, supernatural kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool.
Cool. Let's see. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I've actually been playing a game on a new platform that I'm pretty sure none of us have used. I've been playing a game on my Peloton.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
Yeah, so they released a game called Lanebreaker, and this is their first foray into doing it. And it kind of rocks. Like it is really good. I've played I think 3 separate times at this point. And like anyone who's played Guitar Hero will instantly recognize hey, this is a track where there's music playing and things are going to come down these different lanes at me. Only in Lanebreaker, each lane is like a range of resistance to be in as you're pedaling.
Oh, okay.
And so for most of the stuff, you just as long as you're pedaling and in the right range of resistance, you get credit for the points. Then there are sections where you have to be pedaling in the right range of resistance and at a certain cadence to get the points. And then there are, I think they call them like overcharge sections or something, which are just like balls out sprints, where you have to spin up a certain amount of effort within a very short period of time. And you have to get to 100% to even get credit, and then you can go from 100 to 200% for bonus score. And beyond that, it's pretty straightforward. Like I did it to some EDM tracks. They have like David Bowie stuff. They have David Guetta stuff. Like, the Peloton has a deep library of songs to pull from because they already have all that in their classes. But it's really, really cool to see it gamified.
What's very funny to me, Dennis, is the fact that when I was looking for a story for this week, I was going to talk about that as one of my and then I found something else that was more interesting, so I picked that instead. But that's very funny.
Yeah, I mean, this went totally under my radar. Apparently, there's been a beta going on that I just missed, and so when I found out about it, it's when I got the email in my inbox saying like, "Hey, you can play this right now." So like a normal Peloton class is probably 20 to 45 minutes. There's a whole range within that, but it's inclusive of a warm up and then the section and a cool down. These kind of by their design, the lane break levels, I guess you would call them, are 10 to 15 minutes. And so they are intense.
Yeah, they're fitting in more.
And they actually provide warm-up levels to play. So there's like 5-minute warm-up levels that are just designed to kind of get your blood going. Because I think if you jumped straight like cold into one of these and we're trying to be competitive, you would absolutely destroy yourself.
Be irresponsible.
Yeah. I do not have a Peloton. I have just like off-brand something else spin bikes. So I cannot play this, but I probably would be playing it if I did have one.
It is the hardest I've pedaled in a long time. Like, there is something about gamifying it that just gets you. And it's like, oh, I'm in an overdrive section. I do not want to not get at 200%. So I better pedal harder. So like the visual design is just kind of Tron-y, which works.
Cool.
And it's not over designed or anything. I really appreciated that. There's also, the first time you open it, there's a series of tutorials that just kind of walk you through each section and what's going on. And that it's very well designed to kind of ramp you into playing, because that first set of tutorials also acts as a warm up for whatever you want to jump into. So I thought that was really, really well done. There's a couple places where I think they could do more, like, so you can choose from like beginner to expert in terms of difficulty, but it doesn't make the lines any more complicated. It's just like the resistance ranges that it's going to put you into, which it makes sense. But there's also no indication, like if you beat a track, there's no indication on what level you've beat it. And I get that from the standpoint of like wanting everyone to feel like they can come at this from their level and feel equally rewarded. But I think also the min-maxers, the gamers who are going to want to come back and set a new high score, are going to be left feeling wanting, because you can do it on expert, but it's just going to show up same as anything else. Even just like hey, there's bronze stars for the beginner level and diamond stars for the top level, and that the stars don't mean anything people would go wild for, I think. Like I said, the library of music they're pulling from is top notch, so you're going to hear A-list artists, and that was fun to ride too. My warm-up ride was Phil Collins' Feel It in the Air Tonight.
Oh, I could see that. How does it handle the drop?
Oh, it's a spin up, of course. It's one of the overdrive sections, and you kind of smash through the end of it right at the end. There's a real satisfying design on it where a couple steps or a couple pedals in front of the overdrive section, your like the indicator of your output will start glowing. And then when you're in it, you'll see kind of a meter filling up and then filling up in a different color, and you're trying to get it to the top twice. And then of course, when you hit the end of it, there's a big smash and reward sound. Anyone who's done like Just Dance and they've got like the yeah moments, it feels very much like that. But so to have dun 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 bah, it was just it was great, and I killed myself, getting spun up in that section. So I mean, it was a really good workout, and it's a faster workout than you can oftentimes find, which is nice for the time constrained among us.
Nice.
You will not, or excuse me, I will speak for myself. I will not be able to do 2 of these in a row anytime soon.
Right.
Well, spin is something that takes like some time to build up. You gotta, work at it. And like for me, my problem is that like I for a little bit I was doing like the taking a back seat and not doing my own personal training. I was like, okay, I'm gonna follow somebody else on a video because I'm fried from all this other stuff I'm doing, and. That worked for a little bit, but then I found out that if I just turn on music that I like, I will push really, really, really hard, like way harder than I do when I'm following anybody else. And that the best option for me is to just let myself go and just do my thing to my music that I like. And that works. But the look of Lane Break reminds me of Audio Surf. That's an old game. But anyway, yes, that's what it reminds me of visually.
I mean, hell, you could say it takes inspiration from Tempest. Go all the way back. But yeah, very fun. I got to the end of my first like full ride and laughed out loud when I saw there was a retry button. It's like, no.
Nice try.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. For the level of quality I was expecting, hearing like, oh, hey, this non-gaming company has thrown a game onto their workout machine. It kind of blew the lid off of what I was expecting. Room to improve, and I'm sure they can gamify it even further. You know, within a range of resistance, you don't get credit for being higher in the range, unless you're in an output section. And so I could see like adding, more granularity to the ranges, but at the same time, like the knob that you're turning to change your resistance is not designed to be like hyper precise. So there's a little bit of delay, and you can turn farther than you mean to or not, and that can knock you out of range for a bit, and you lose points just because the machine is designed as a gaming machine. And you never notice that in a class, but playing the game you will, especially if you're trying to min-max stuff. But yeah, that's fun. It's I see that being my go-to way of doing the Peloton from here on out.
Oh, and by the way, there is a little, like, there's a company that makes a little disc that you can use that will tell you what level of resistance you're at, and you can basically quote unquote calibrate it. I'll send you a link to it so you can see it, but it's somebody on Etsy that does a little resistance meter that they can do. They make them for several different designs of bikes, and so I've got one on my bike, so I can kind of gauge where I'm at, and that way you can take note of where you are and take note of whatever, because you can have a consistent number to look at, so you can get a little bit more precision.
And does it correspond to what they call out in Peloton classes specifically, or it's just like, hey, here's a number for resistance?
Well, it starts where you put it on where it has just the lightest resistance that you can tell, and then you set that at 1, and then it goes all the way up to 10. And so depending upon the number of turns you do, it'll go up 1 number, 2 numbers, however many.
Got it. Very cool. Nice. So highly recommend if you got Peloton, and I'll keep you guys posted on where I am on the Lane Break leaderboards.
Nice. Here's how clueless I am. Just because, I'm picturing these, and I have a stationary bike. I know this isn't how they work, but when you mentioned lanes and hitting the right place, and you said it was like a rhythm game or something, for the life of me, I thought, oh, so you steer to the correct lane and it changes your, and then I stopped and I was like, hey, dumbass, you don't need
That's not how that works.
Why would a stationary bike have working handlebars? You idiot! You absolute buffoon! So that was a fun moment, and I'm really happy that I just said it as a joke here instead of the mortifying thing, which would be if I asked that question about how it worked.
No, if you keep it inside, it's shame. If you share it, it's funny.
Oh my gosh. Lane Break.
Yeah. The other new game I've been playing is I decided to jump in and try the campaign of Halo Infinite.
Okay.
And I don't have much to say about it because I didn't spend a ton of time. I've got a buddy who I think we're planning on playing the co-op when it comes out. So I played probably an hour or two and was like, I'll save it. It didn't grab me enough to feel like I wanted to go through it both solo and co-op. But the main thought that stuck out to me as I was playing is, my God, the Master Chief is a dick. Like, I don't know if it's just time. With time, I've become more sensitive to this stuff, and it was always this way. And I know there's the he was a super soldier trained from childhood, so of course he's blunt and the way he is. But it's just abrasive to have him be the main character of the game. And I kept on thinking of, it was one of the presidential debates between Biden and Trump. And Trump, they were talking about division in the country or whatever, and Trump was like, "Success will unite us."
Oh God!
And that was his plan. It was like, we're going to be terrible to each other, but the country will do well enough that no one cares. And I'm like, that is the Master Chief's approach to anyone he interacts with. Is just like, shut the fuck up, let's go do the mission, and I will ignore literally anything else you say.
Is he especially talky? I've played the first, I played the first 3 Halo games, and I can't remember. I can picture his voice in my head, but I can't remember him ever speaking or having characterization before. He was always a cipher.
Yeah, I don't know how it was in previous games. In this one, it's like literal 2-word sentences, which is usually someone is saying, "Let's do something," and then he says, "No, go here."
Yeah,
that's what you do.
So
yeah.
I was gonna say, in previous games it didn't seem as toxic or anything. He just would be silently kind of overconfident or something, and would just be like, I don't know, we're gonna blow up this ship or something like that. But
or it's like, we're outnumbered, I need a gun. But we gotta give me a gun. And it's like, oh, okay, dude, let someone finish a fucking sentence. I don't know. And again, all this within the context of you're not there for some deep emotional connection to the main character.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
No, deep emotional connection to Cortana, not to the Master Chief.
Okay.
Or whatever version of her we're on. I don't follow the story at all.
I think they changed out the voice actor too, because it used to be Steve Downes in the original 3, but I think it's somebody different for this game.
Interesting. So they got some celebrity. Hey, that's actually Kevin Hart.
Wait, I mean, okay, here's me being an idiot. Is it really?
No.
Okay. I was like, that's problematic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll still play the co-op because it's a really solid game. I think the open world choice is kind of it's necessary to justify the hardware it's on. It's not necessary for the game to be good. Yeah. If that makes any sense. Everything's got to be open world in a certain way now because you've got the power to do big spaces. And so you justify it by making games that have big open spaces. But Halo is the best when you are just, screaming like a missile from one objective to the next. That's the fantasy that you're living out. And I would recommend you play even Halo Infinite that way, where you're just pick the next main objective, run towards that, and if you happen to cross any sub objectives, fuck up whoever stands in your way. That's the Halo experience.
Yeah.
So correction, Steve Downes does do the voice on the game. He's not doing it in
the television show, you mean?
Yeah, in the TV show.
Yeah, I saw they're going to unmask him, but I'm getting ahead of myself in terms of newsy stuff. So that's all I have to say about Halo Infinite. I tried it. It is good Halo, and the main character is a dick.
Yeah. Nice. I have no other questions.
Halo, toxic masculinity evolved.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Hoorah.
Mm-hmm. I have one funny story to share, a check-in from Rainbow Six Extraction Land.
Okay.
So they do rotating game modes in addition to the main missions. And there was a big new one introduced called Spillover, which amazingly is even less memorable than Extraction. I literally have to have it up in front of me here to remember what the name of this game mode is. And there's some goodies that you can get by playing it cosmetics wise. And I was like, I want to do that, but you've heard me say previously, I don't do pubs in this game.
Yeah.
But it's also it's hard that it is required for it to be a 3-person team in these modes. Whereas in other things, it just scales to 1, 2, or 3, whatever you want to play. I don't understand why they did that way. It doesn't seem like you've already put in the work for how the game scales in the main game. I don't see any of these modes being different enough to force you to do a 3-person team, but whatever. I don't know what they were thinking, but so I've been doing it with a full stack, and it's a fun mode. Basically, instead of going from area to area with different objectives, you're in one area and there's a bunch of objectives around you that are all basically like King of the Hill defense. So it's a much more like chaotic, hey, we're not going to worry about stealth, we're just going to get overwhelmed by they're aliens, not zombies, but zombies.
Yes. Yeah.
In this mode. And depending on what point you pick to defend, you activate it by like planting a canister on a point. You can see in advance what kind of enemies it will spawn, and every enemy has a certain buff. Like, oh, these guys are cloaked, and these guys are tougher, and these guys have blinding spores on them, so you can't get close to them, and yada yada yada. Yeah. And so you got to kind of strategize about the way you go about it. But I was close to a new reward tier. Like I was like, okay, I just want to tick over and get this cosmetic. And it was something I could get just by playing a little bit more, but none of my friends were on. And I was like, I'll do it. I'll do a pub match. It can't be that bad. Can it? So, you go to the character select screen and promptly one person locks in a level 5 character. So only halfway leveled up. So coming in at 50% already. Okay. And the other person is just AFK.
Just not picking.
Just doesn't do anything. Not picking a character, and that the timer on that menu is like it's like 2 minutes or something.
Too generous is what it is.
Mm-hmm. So all right, sweet. Going into this with one person AFK already, and the other person using a halfway leveled character. This is wonderful. This is great. And we spawn in, and it's like, hey, we're right in front of a cloaked nest, and like as you play, it gets more difficult. Cloaked is one of the more annoying variants to have, so do those early before it gets difficult, so that you don't have a huge difficulty spike trying to do it at the end. Great, ping that one, grab a canister, just kind of check the area and set up the canister. And I look up, and the other guy has run to a different nest. And planted a canister on that one. And it's like, oh fuck, okay. If you want to be like super min-maxy about playing, you can do multiple nests at once. Mm-hmm. But generally you want to choose nests that are like really close to each other, and you've got good sight lines between them and all this stuff. And generally you'd want to have all 3 players.
So he has reached the frayed ends of the benefit of the doubt.
Yes. And so I'm like, all right, this is a wash. Like, we're not getting anywhere. But just as the aliens start spawning, AFK guy comes back. So it's like, all right,
the cavalry shows up.
At least we're back in that. He grabs a canister and runs to a third fucking nest. And starts a third nest.
Nice.
Completely away from everyone else. So we're dead in seconds, and I will never play pubs again. And if you I thought I could do.
And if you rage quit, you would be punished.
Exactly. No, fortunately, I kind of found my own little goal within this clusterfuck of a situation. It was to make sure I died on the extraction point so that I didn't have to go and rescue my character later.
Right.
So succeeded on that front. And that's my story from Extraction. It's a fun game.
That's the Extraction version of punting.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Huh. Well, I mean, lesson learned. It is nice, it is nice to experiment and to have a previous suspicion confirmed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't talk to strangers.
Well, yeah. Huh. Okay. Well,
yeah, that's me.
Cool. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I got 2 this week. So the first one, I've been continuing to play Valheim from last week. I've beat the first boss, which I don't think I had done it last week, but I can't remember. I've gotten to the second boss, but I've also made like a lovely like home for myself in the middle of the first place that I've spawned at.
That's fun.
A nice, yeah. So I've gotten to the end of like the copper tech tree, kind of, I guess. Basically, like the way it works is as soon as you find a new material or figure out like a new thing, it'll basically open up all the things that you can actually build with it. Mm-hmm. So for example, there's different types of lumber from different types of trees. So as soon as you cut down a certain tree and get that lumber, it's like, oh, you can make all these things if you want. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting towards the end of all the things that I can build, or I'm like kind of like I've built everything that I can at this point. with the first boss, after you defeat it, you get an item that opens up like an entire new tech branch. So I'm assuming that something similar happens with the second boss. But I only tried it once and I died not quickly. But I think I'm at a correct enough level where I could probably beat it if I tried it a few more times.
Yeah.
Is that the slime boss?
It's a tree. Without spoiling too much, I don't know. They might have like redone the game too between when it was.
That's true. I played like the very first build, so that is entirely possible.
It does require building a boat to get to another island, is where it is. So there's basically like small dungeons on the first island, and they kind of give you hints of where it is, or they give you like a location marker for it. And so you build a boat, you can sail over there. One of the techs that you can unlock is portals, and so I basically set up a hut with a portal on the other island, and then a portal at my like home base on the main island, and just kind of using that as like a way that'll be like my hub. I'm going to name portals that I go to like different names, and then just have a single portal in the middle, and you can just change the name on it. It's kind of a cool system. Yeah, you just give it like a key or whatever each portal, and if there's two like ones, then you'll link between those, and you can fast travel.
I do like that in what is otherwise a very low magic fantasy game, like portals are just that concession to convenience that need to happen.
Yeah, and it's like they got, runic things there. So it's, mystical Norse afterlife type stuff, I guess. I think they did a good enough job like selling it that it's like in world or makes sense in world. I've killed a handful of trolls, have troll armor. I've mined a bunch of copper and made a bunch of stuff with that. It's a pretty fun game. It's a weird flavor of like Stardew Valley, where it's like I have a farm area where I'm starting to grow vegetables and stuff. I have a bunch of chests and like have all the things like organized within there by what type it is. I like a nice little turret and everything. I don't know. It's I'm enjoying it with that respect. The graphics are one of the most interesting things about the game, where it's like really low res for certain things up close, but the game is just like strikingly beautiful by how things are rendered in certain ways. Like you might be able to see like the ocean through some trees and see like a reflection of the sun, and it's just really beautifully rendered. Like the trees swaying in the background and stuff, and even like your base from a distance looks really beautiful the way that it is rendered from afar, and then slowly gets more realistic as you approach it. So they definitely go with a more like expressive art style instead of like a high number of pixels type art style. But I think that's like a good path to go down.
Always, yeah.
Well, especially given the size of that team.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. How big is the team?
I mean, I'm sure it's ballooned since the game has blown up, but I think it was a 6-person team that started it.
Yeah, that's definitely impressive then. Yeah, and then like I know they make updates somewhat regularly. Like I think they recently made an update to like the mountain biome, which I haven't been able to go to. That's like where all the snow is, and you need like cold resistance if you go there. But yeah, this game's a lot of fun. It's fun to play with multiplayer as well, because you can just go with other people, and I believe you can revive other people. No, you can't revive other people if they die. They still have to come back, but but yeah, it's still nice. And then right now, I'm just trying to set up kind of. I've done some like exploring. You think that you're on like an island, but then there's like a narrow strip, and if you go and explore that, that's like a giant bridge that goes like forever up north. And so like there's like a nice sense of exploration where it's like you're not actually on an island, or like there's a lot of different things if you kind of poke around. So it's kind of fun to set up and go on excursions and stuff, but it's definitely a risk reward sort of thing, because it's like if you spend like, I don't know, 10 or 20 minutes traveling in a direction and then you die, your stuff is there. And so you have to somehow figure out, you either have to rebuild and go back there. It's kind of too hard to just try and run there and like to try and get all your stuff, because you'll probably die along the way. Yeah. But it's pretty enjoyable. So no complaints about that. Any questions about Valheim, 2-year-old game?
It's constantly being updated. Yeah.
What is the coolest feature of your base?
So let's see. I have a wraparound staircase. The bottom floor is like a fire in the middle, chest on the side, bed in the back. So it's like nice and cozy and enclosed. Here's one thing I like is so I set up a circular fence around the base, and there was a giant rock in the middle of that like circumference, and so I cut through the rock. But the fence goes through the rock, and then the rock's like a natural bridge where I run up on that and just hop over the fence from either direction, but it still keeps like enemies out. So
Nice.
Yeah, it was kind of pleasant. And then I like on the top floor is where all like the tech things are. So that's where like there's a craft bench, there's the whatever the mining or iron like bench. There's a cartography table there. So yeah. It's nice and lovely. And then that's like, that has a pointed roof or whatever, but it's somewhat open, so you can kind of see out and around on the second floor. So
Nice.
And then I just replanted everything with grass instead of it being dirt around that like circular enclosure. So it's less, industrial, I guess.
All of this design stuff you're talking about really makes me want to play this game more so than any of like the exploring and stuff.
Yeah, I think the trick with the game is like figuring out how it works. So it's definitely nice if you like have a like, oh yeah, you should do this first, and you can do this, and this is kind of how it works. Because the game doesn't do a tremendous job of like communicating that to you like up front. So that definitely makes it more accessible as if you play with someone who already knows how to do it. So
I mean, this is a real basic question. Like, how much variety is there to the combat? You know,
you basically pick what weapon you want to use, and it's like Skyrim where everything levels up independently. So the more you swing with the sword, your sword skill goes up. The more you swing with an axe, your axe skill goes up. So most of the varieties, there are some two-handed weapons. So I guess it's similar to Skyrim, but there's no magic. You can have a bow. You can have a shield and sword or axe or spear. You can have a two-handed weapon and just have that without a shield. So that's kind of what the variety is. It's kind of depends on the enemies. So like, for example, the trolls start carrying tree branches, so you definitely don't want to get too close to them. So you can just shoot arrows at them from afar and kill them that way.
Yeah.
You can craft like fire arrows, and that is pretty effective as well. So there's a fun interaction where like a troll was chasing me around my base like earlier on, and so I would route him through my campfire, and he would just catch on fire by walking through it, and then that would take some damage off. But then eventually would smother it from walking over it. So it was interesting.
How authentic are these trolls? If you do not damage them with fire, will they regenerate?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure. They look really goofy. So like they're not like I don't know. I don't know how much seriousness went into designing them.
I can say I've definitely killed some just shooting arrows at them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good. And if any of you guys ever want to play, let me know. I can show you my world, and I can help you build yours. But yeah, the other game that I have to talk about is a new one. I started playing Pokemon Legends Arceus, the new Pokemon game, which I have not played a Pokemon game since like Red or Yellow. So it's
Arceus, Arceus. What is?
I have no idea.
Me neither.
Just calling it Pokemon. People know what I mean. But yeah, so it's kind of prompted to. I'd heard a lot of good things from other people in my circle who've played it. So I wanted to try it out. I'm maybe about 4 or 5 hours into it. The story's not as bad as I've heard it was. It's like fine. I've gotten to a few of the open world pieces, and I've gotten to like the second major area that's like an open world area. But the biggest change is like instead of like kind of like a cutscene over to like this combat section, it's all very integrated in this like open world system. Like you can fight like the old school way if you want to, but it's never cutting to a separate sort of environment. You're still just kind of like walking around in this open world, and you're just shouting at your Pokemon like, hey, do this. but it's seamlessly integrated with what the open world experience is, which is running around and like throwing Pokeballs at Pokemon who are just walking around in the world.
Okay.
And so maybe one of the coolest mechanics that I've seen in the game so far is how you do research and how you research Pokemon. I don't know if this is new to this game or if they've done this in previous iterations, so maybe someone can fill me in. But basically, they have maybe like achievements with each of the Pokemon where it's like, I've used this move this many times, and it'll be like 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, something like that. Mm-hmm. I've beaten this Pokemon this many times, like 1, 5, 10, something like that. And so for each time, each of those like dots that you fill, or each one of those marks that you meet, you level up like your research in the Pokemon. And then once you get to 10, I think is like when you've quote unquote like you understand what the Pokemon is. You've like learned the Pokemon, like you've researched it completely. Mm-hmm. And so the idea is it's a good system because instead of doing what I was originally going to do, which is just pick the fire Pokemon, level it up as high as you can, and just use that to dominate everything, it kind of forces you to like look around and find a variety of different Pokemon and use each one for a little bit and kind of figure out which one you want to use. Yeah. So it's a good way of like nudging you in that direction to kind of see all the different things that are there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that system's cool. In addition to that, in addition to Pokemon, there's just a bunch of different items that you can pick up around the world, like whether it's like things that are in trees or like ores that are on the ground. And you do this by like throwing up. You can either throw like Pokeballs or items in the world, or you can throw your actual Pokemon, your team of 6 in the world, and they'll interact with things when you throw them near them. Mm-hmm. So like if you throw them near a tree, they'll bump the tree and like items will fall out, and then you those are yours now. Or it's like, or a bee might fall out, and then you fight the bee, whatever the bee Pokemon's name is.
There are a few.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So they have like a level up progression as far as like with the team that you're working with. There's different like guilds in the world. I haven't really fully about all that yet. There's kind of like internal drama and stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't see a clear like who the bad guys are yet. There's not like a Team Rocket that's like obvious yet. So I'll probably have to keep playing to see what that's about. But let's see what else. You get like a mount that you can traverse the world faster with. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a weird open world game. Like the graphic quality is just okay. It's not as like terrible as the internet is slandering it for, but it's still like not great. Yeah, I don't know. Shrug.
It's interesting. It sounds like you heard primarily bad things. I thought it was pretty well received. But maybe we're just reading different stuff.
Well, I mean, like I feel like there are a lot of Reddit posts like trashing on the graphics in particular, and then I think a lot of the reviews that I've heard said that the story is not great. But everyone I've heard has said like the gameplay is really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I can see those takes. I can agree with the graphics for sure. The story's fine. I don't think it's as bad as I've heard it be, and I think the gameplay's good so far, but I don't think it's like the best gameplay ever. I don't think it's like I don't know. Or maybe, but again, like I'm only a few hours into it, and it seems like it's kind of taking its time before it's letting you like completely loose in the world. So I still might be in like the end of a tutorial, a very long tutorial. So
yeah, Is the combat still turn-based?
It is, but it's it is, but it's like it's kind of like. It's a mix between turn-based and real-time. They'll have a queue of all like what the turn order is, and it's usually one-on-one, and so usually just ping-pongs back and forth. So it's like there's mine, there's mine, there's mine. But you can do things where they have like fighting styles for certain moves, where it's like strong style or quick style, and so it sacrifices like power for time in either direction. Mm-hmm. So if you do that, the order of attacks might change. Where like if you do the strong style, then you might just be taking one turn and then they take 2 turns, and then you know like, but you're doing more damage when you go. Yeah. So it's by and large it's mostly turn based. I haven't experimented with like just not saying anything and seeing what happens. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty quick to like do whatever I want to do. So I haven't really tested the limits of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catching Pokemon out in the world while they are doing stuff. does that make you feel bad compared to when they were random encounters and like there was no direct evidence that they had lives and wants and desires?
So I think they addressed this specifically in the game because they felt
what,
specifically call out in like the first like 5 or 10 minutes, like, oh, Pokemon can shrink down into the balls, like it's completely normal, like there's nothing wrong. It's like very defensive about that point. It sounded like
goldfish have 2-second memories. They don't care that they're in a tiny bowl.
Yeah. So I don't. The game definitely wants you to believe that you are not doing that. So whether you are or you're not, I'm not sure.
And by that, you mean cockfighting?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's but it is weird. I mean, they do encourage you to sneak up and surprise like the Pokemon that you're catching. Like you have a better chance if you throw it at their back, when they don't see you. Oof. And like you hide in tall grass to sneak up on them. So there's like this weird like Hitman vibe to part of the gameplay.
Hitmonchan. Hitman chant? Yeah, no.
Hitman Lee, dude.
Yeah. His name's 47, not Lee.
Yeah. So, he's the Agent 47th Pokemon or something. I'm not sure. So it's decent so far. The story. It's not like like, oh, what's going to happen next or anything like that, but it's not bad. It's just, it seems like similar to the regular Pokemon game, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different factions with a lot of different motives.
Yeah.
Then, I don't know. There's this weird, whatever. I don't need to talk any more about it, but, any other questions though about Pokemon?
No.
Let us know when you catch them all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. The Pokedex is cool. Like the Pokedex basically has like that are Pokemon by Pokemon. But yeah, I haven't checked how many there are or how many entries there are, how many people you need to go through.
Yeah.
But they do have a cool system for sorting the Pokemon when you're going through it, where you can sort by like how much you've researched on them chronologically when you've encountered them, or like what their order like number is. So it's pretty serviceable as far as like looking through your collection of Pokemon. But yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah. For me, all that I have is State of Decay 2, which I've been streaming these past couple of weekends. Game's good. I like it quite a bit. It is very similar to the first one. It is an open world game that takes place during a zombie apocalypse. You play as multiple survivors. You have like a settlement that you are finding people for, and you switch around between folks when one person runs out of energy or gets injured. Things like that. You're primarily occupying yourself by going and finding resources, which you're always kind of churning through, and also use resources to expand your base. The big thing that is added for this is an infection system, which is really weird to say about a zombie game. The first one didn't have an infection system, which I
think that would be like
early. It'd be what you start with. No, so like this takes place like 2 years after the plague starts, after the outbreak, and then there's like a new version of it called the Blood Plague. That is popping up, that is spread by these real cool, just metal looking torso pillars called plague hearts that are around. So like you roll up to a new area of the map and you'll survey or whatever, and you'll see that just like whole stretches of this just beautiful valley are covered in this red mist. And a big part of like making places safe to explore and to scavenge is clearing out these plague hearts, which are creating plague zombies, which are tougher versions that will infect you. Like it'll raise an infection meter, and if it sets in, it's a real big deal. You have to go and rest and have somebody develop a cure for it. And even if you are like partially infected, you still need to go in and rest in the infirmary and use up medical resources in order to not have it turn into an all-out infection that will kill that survivor.
Yes. Is there permadeath in the game? Like, can the survivors die?
Yes.
You just get new ones, or okay.
Yeah. The survivors can die. You know, the natural arc of the game has you working with other settlements, like other enclaves, and improving your relationship with them to the point where you can have them join your team, which unlocks new people with their own traits and their own skills, etc. You know, and that just kind of naturally happens as you expand your influence.
I take issue with calling the people who die survivors. We need a better term.
Yeah. Attempted survivors.
Yeah.
So Cole, this is the second game in a row where you fight torsos that you streamed, right?
Wait a minute. What was the other one? Shit, the torsos. Oh, right. The
Resident Evil.
Yes,
type game.
The Tormented Souls. Yes. Yeah. Real torso heavy quarter. But it's great. Like it is a pretty game, you know, like scenery wise. The everything is snappier. The driving feels really good. Like the driving in the first one felt pretty good. Here it feels even better. You know, I'm doing like fun little like just like stunt driving kind of things.
What did they tune? Like what did they tweak?
I don't know. Just everything just feels a little bit like it's more responsive. You know, like just it's hard to find a way to describe what they do for everything. Like even the movement, like it is both tighter and snappier. The first one was like very much like in the category of like a B game, you know, and that's not me like digging on it. I think that, you know, there needs to be more B games. Insofar as it was a modest product that was, you know, fine with a little bit of jank, it stood on its like good ideas and it's very satisfying gameplay loop. The added fit and finish here is purely additive. And yeah, I dig it an awful lot. I'm really excited to play and stream more. In fact, it's everything I can do not to fire it up and just do a little bit of base management in between sessions. You know, I just want to go get more resources and shore up this and all of that. Are you
going to be streaming this again this weekend, or are you like locked?
I'm locked in on Elden Ring. I'm not going to be streaming this weekend. I thought about it, like figured, hey, it'll be, you know, it'd probably be worth a break or whatever. But I just I need to, I needed to dedicate time to it, and not like rushing or anything, but like the more time I have available to put into it, the less rushed overall I will feel.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
you need time to play it and think about it.
Yeah, and like figure out how we're going to structure the season and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's been a while since we've done that. So I'm excited for the challenge of doing a new FromSoft game.
It's rating it on some unique fronts. You know, there's like graphics, difficulty, and administrative ease.
How easily does this break down into
podcast?
Right. On a scale from Demon's Souls to Dark Souls 2, how much of a pain in the ass is this going to be to dice up?
Oh lordy.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. But that's all I got. Any questions about State of Decay 2?
Nope.
I'm wondering
a couple of times, but
I need to find videos of it to see. Is this the kind of thing that would ever live on your phone? You talk about this like, ooh, can I just like pop in for a little bit? I wonder if it would ever show up there.
I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't. It's not a. I could do like a screen share kind of deal. I just I don't want to play when I'm not on stream. You know. Because if I start,
are you talking about adding like real-time elements to it, Dennis? Like,
no, I don't know if this is a fidelity of game that would show up on phone. Okay,
it's a little too fancy for that.
Got it.
Yeah, I mean it's like a Grand Theft Auto game kind of in terms of being a full 3D. Like, you know, I guess I'm saying that in a post Genshin Impact world. So what the fuck do I know about what mobile is capable of? Yeah.
Genshin Impact made some kind of satanic sacrifice to make that game look that beautiful on that scale on phones.
On that wide of a variety of devices.
Yeah, we just need to accept that we cannot unlock their black magic.
Yep. it is just unreachable for us, unattainable. Yeah, that's all I got.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where usually we ask you a question and then you answer it, but this time we are doing last week's free play. That we had a little bit of a mix-up, but it is good because we had this up here for a while. So we're going to be answering your questions, and I will proctor this. I will put this start here. Greg asks, what game has your favorite ending and why?
Ooh, sticking the landing.
Yeah. This is going to be hard to answer without spoilers. Right now, I will say Disco Elysium, just because it is such it is such a full emotional payoff. And I will say people think that is a cynical and doom and gloom game. No, that is a fucking beautiful game that has wonderful things to say about people, I believe.
Yeah. Very cool.
I'm going to say Bioshock Infinite for this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Cool. Yeah, I really like the ending of that. That was like one of the most, not on a crying level, but that was one of the most like emotionally impacting endings of a game that I played. I was just like really blown away by it. Similar to seeing Inception in the movie theater.
Oh, all right.
Cool. Dennis, how about you? You have?
Man, I'm trying to think what I would put here. Jala, jump in if you got one, because I'm racking my brain specifically for endings.
Well, okay, so I like several different endings of different video games. I like the ending of Final Fantasy X, in some respects at least. I like the ending of both of the Lunar games. I like the ending of Planescape Torment. I mean, like, there's a bunch of them I could answer with.
I think what this is revealing to me is how few games I actually see the ending of.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like I got this whole list of games that I really enjoy, and it's like, wait, what of these have I finished? As much as you can say that about any of these, and yeah, that cuts down. I will say at the time, the most impactful ending that comes to mind was Metrico. This is like my go-to puzzle game that no one played because it was on the Vita. But the final puzzle of that was like I finished the game that I actively like went out to talk to people about the game, just because it was so good. So
yeah. Jala, how about? You've already done yours, Jala. Sorry, I was trying to avoid going to the next question because I don't know that I have an answer for it. Sean asked, "What was the last game that made you cry?"
Oh man.
So for me, this was Last of Us Part 2, but I can't remember the exact moment. I just remember miscellaneous dude misting throughout playing that game.
Yeah,
sure. I haven't gotten to crying parts yet. I'm playing that game currently. But I do know I cried at The Last of Us 1, and before that I know the first Walking Dead Telltale game did it for me.
Yeah. Jala, do you have one?
I can answer this easily because since I have hormones every month, the last game that I teared up at was playing Pokemon Sword Dynamax Adventures with my friends because I don't even know why. Just reasons, because hormones. So there.
Yeah. Probably a dude missed for me, but Outer Wilds. The ending of that is super affecting. I literally had to go and look at like a list of the WoF games we've played, and I had to go back to that one to say it. Yeah, Outer Wilds.
You guys want to know the last movie that made me cry?
Sure.
Kung Fu Panda.
Oh wow, that's a while ago.
We put it on for the kids. I think it was mostly just because Luke and Milo were on cloud nine throughout the entire movie.
Oh, okay.
So all like the triumphant moments of like, oh, he's getting it, he's fighting where he belongs, and they're like jumping around on the couches cheering, and but yeah, good times.
Callum writes, "What places outside of the States would you want to visit or live?"
I would go back to Greece in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
Specifically, the island of Paros was just amazing. It's like less touristy. It's not like the main one that people go to. But it's still like got a ton of beauty, a ton of really cool stuff to do, and that was just the most fun we've ever had on vacation. Also, Old San Juan in Puerto Rico is awesome.
Oh, nice. Ben, do you have one?
So criteria for living, I think like any country that has a good, strong democracy and is like good at supporting like their middle class, like I'd be fine living anywhere that has that.
Yeah.
Visit, like in particular, I would like to go to South Korea and I would like to go to Europe, like the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah. It'd be neat to get up there. Jala, how about you?
Well, I'd like to go to Cudillero in Spain, which is the place that my family came from originally. I'd like to also go to Norway to visit some of our relatives that are over there from my mom's side of the family. I'd also like to return to Japan and go to Thailand and go to India and several other places. And if we're going to include like any place that has neat, cool, like natural stuff that I want to go hiking or just go experience, then it's going to be the longest list ever. I would like to travel a lot.
Yeah.
Anywhere with mountains to hike.
Yeah.
That like also means cold. I'm not the biggest fan of cold.
That's fair.
Yeah. This is dumb because I just know the location from a movie, but there's a movie that I like by my two favorite directors now, Moorhead and Benson. They did a romantic horror movie called Spring that takes place in a tourist town in Italy called Polignano a Mare. And
I listened to that unfilmable episode.
Yeah, like that, like, you know, yes, it does show a monster kind of going around in that town, but it's that movie is a real good, it is a real good sales pitch for going to visit there. It seems neat to me. Just lots of beautiful rocky coast. I pretty much want to go anywhere with a rocky coast is my whole thing.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah. I don't necessarily not into warmth. It doesn't need to be tropical. In fact, I prefer it not to be. But yeah, rocky coasts.
As long as there's a body of water I can drink at 10 a.m. I'm there.
That was so. What were you gonna say, Dennis?
I should qualify my response. I'm aware that Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, so I guess that technically doesn't qualify for this. Is it outside the U.S.?
It's part of
it outside of the states, technically. So
okay, all right, okay.
I think it counts.
That is one of the few places that I've traveled where I've distinctly had the thought I would like to live here. Like you travel so many places where it's like, this is cool, I'm ready to go home, and that is one of the few places where I've been like, I would be here as home base.
Do we have to go home? Yeah.
Let's see here. Jeremy asks, what is your favorite game of all time and why? I say mine is Sekiro. Has an amazing story, even if the game is not that long. And it also made them a better gamer. Pay attention to detail. Thought the difficulty curve was perfect for the combat system. Yeah. This is a big question.
Yeah, for this one, should we guess one another's?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Let's guess one another's.
I'm guessing you're Dark Souls, Cole.
I mean, the cheat answer is mine changes like all the time.
Okay.
So I really don't have an answer for that. Like that was my cheat to get out of it. I don't know what I would even say like right now. You know, like if pressed, this Frostpunk. There we go. Like I'll just say.
Why do we need to put labels on this relationship? That feels uncomfortable.
I don't. Yeah. So I don't think this is a bad question. This is just a question that I am too predisposed to overthinking to answer satisfactorily without sounding like a real asshole. So
You couldn't let yourself give an answer without all the qualifiers that come with whatever one game you would name, right?
Right. And there's also like, if I say something that's not Dark Souls, will people say, aha, you're not qualified to make a podcast about it? Yeah. So you're always watching your back here in podcast land. Ben, for you, let's say coder.
No, that's a good guess though.
The Witness.
That by hours, that's a good guess.
Yeah,
man, I thought mine was more obvious.
The Witness.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's where I was going to go.
Or Portal.
I mean, for the number of times that you played it and the way you engage with it, it is No, I thought The Witness would be a likely candidate, but I second guessed myself and went back further, so I went for nostalgia.
Jala, I'm going to say Danganronpa 2.
Yours is a Shining Force, right, Jala? Is it Shining Force or Torment?
Shining Force 3.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Yeah. And Dennis, if it's not Jack and Daxter...
Uncharted or Pinball?
Yeah.
Pinball. I hadn't thought about including Pinball.
Yeah.
You guys had a 99% chance of getting this right, and you missed.
Okay. What is it?
Which is an XCOM 2 reference.
Okay. Gotcha. XCOM 2. There we are. Okay. Yeah. Well, we got answers out of all of us. I say Frostpunk because I got a real hankering to play that game again. But
I keep on seeing it on Game Pass, and I'm like,
that's good. You'd like it.
You got 3 days, Cole.
I have so much other. I have actual things to manage.
Frostpunk is just sitting in the corner staring at you.
Yeah, I'm either managing a town or I'm managing my depression.
Gotta keep this fire in my heart above 10 degrees.
I can just see. Welcome to Bonfireside Chat, a now Frostpunk podcast apparently because Cole fucked up.
Let's see here, and then the last one. Andrew asks, "What genre of games do you want to see more of? It could be more games, more innovation, or more critical attention. I want more Obra Dinn likes."
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like, not exactly like that, because that's already been done, but like something that hews closer to a detective game that is purely about observation and deductive reasoning, as opposed to kind of like finding evidence and bashing it together until your character says, Eureka.
Okay.
I want to see more. There's not really a name for this genre, but like speedrun oriented first person shooters. I'm thinking specifically of Dead Core and Lovely Planet as two games that do that.
Okay.
Where it is, it's a first person shooter, but it is all based around time. And it's really just a vehicle for doing cool tricks and jumping around a level like you are breaking every law of physics.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Jala, how about you?
I don't know.
That is acceptable. Ben, how about you?
This is probably recency bias, but I think I would say like Storybook Brawl, in that like more games that are around drafting and building synergies, but is also a free alternative to Magic.
Yeah.
So it's less kind of skeezy in that sense.
More free games. Got it.
Yeah. And there we go. Hi, Dottie. You're on my shoulder, aren't you?
Oh, just in time.
Yeah, always. It's always right around the time we start doing the news is when she shows up. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for writing in. If you would like to participate in the future, go to facebook.com/The Level Podcast and watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons. Thank you for posting this one, Dennis.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games around us that are exciting. Jala, what's going on with your story?
So, over the past 5 years, the number of African gamers has grown exponentially. A 2021 study by Newzoo, a games analytics company, And Carry First, a South African gaming platform, shows the number of gamers in sub-Saharan Africa at 186 million people, an increase from 77 million in 2015. Ghana and Nigeria are in second and third places, with Kenya and Ethiopia after that. And due to the rise in investment in gaming tech, these numbers are said to explode in the coming years. So this is going to be like a big market for video games that has been largely untapped heretofore. By 2050, Africa will have one of the largest youthful populations with 50% growth. So it is a big area that is probably going to be paid attention to by companies coming up here really soon. And what I brought this for is because I'm interested in seeing how that changes how the face of games is presented. If it's going to change too much from, what's released here, or if they're going to make alternate versions of things, or, what. Apparently there has been some changing of games for the African market before release over there.
Yeah.
So anyway, an interesting thing too is that developers such as Usiku Games Africa are adding ownership to games, allowing gamers to own characters and assets within the games, leveraging on blockchain technology. And while I'm not personally a fan of crypto for several reasons, the use of it here actually does have a bright side, because gamers earning from the game they play cannot cash out. Instead, they have enforced savings mechanisms that have been developed to redirect these earnings towards long-term savings instruments like pension, health, and education insurance, helping to shore up low savings culture among youth in Africa and building up their financial resilience. So the way that they're doing it, even if it's a harmful, bad thing that I do not personally have any interest in whatsoever, like at least there is some kind of a bright side to that.
Yeah.
I kind of wince though, because I hope that does not become a big widespread kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think you're getting it jammed together in this article just because of the inflection point that it was written at. Like, it's just crypto is everywhere right now for worse, not for better, for worse. And so, gaming is growing in Africa and crypto is everywhere right now.
Yeah.
I think the trend of gaming growing in Africa will outlive, please God, the trend that crypto is on right now.
Yeah.
Well, and crypto is by and large being bought into by younger folks. And since Africa has a larger range of younger folks there, there's quite a high number of younger Africans who do own some form of crypto. So,
yeah.
I'll be interested to see, like, you hear about kind of the leapfrog effects where, like, a country or a region that is traditionally kind of behind on the infrastructure around any given thing, when they catch up, they kind of get to circumvent all of the old infrastructure debt that other countries have and build fresh with the latest and greatest. And so you see, people jumping from no phones to cell phones and skipping land-based or landlines altogether.
Yeah. Going from being unbanked to banking entirely via mobile. Yeah.
Right. And so I wonder what the version of that for gaming is. Like, what infrastructure debts do we pay just because gaming has kind of grown up in our market? That if you're starting fresh in a market, you can kind of do something more innovative behind.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy every console.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I don't like breaking down whole continents into like marketplace terms, and it's the continent is not a monolith, but it's 1.2 billion people, and that many people like the people are going to want to sell stuff to them. So yeah, and video games, they're gonna come. It kind of seems like it seems inevitable and cool,
A whole new group to thrash me online.
or whole new indie studios to make cool shit.
Yes. We were talking about Malaysian developers earlier. Let's get some African developers.
Yeah. Was there anything else about the story you wanted to say, Joel?
Nope. I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was interesting, and especially just like it's a new market of folks that would obviously make some pretty major changes, I think, to presentation of games, at least in some ways, if that audience is in fact catered to a little bit more.
Yeah. Nice. I've got one. This is a classic Kole Ross, a thing is happening story, as it ought to be. Just today, as we're recording, House Flipper 2 was announced. It was announced on Twitter with a short little video. House Flipper 2 coming out in 2023. There are very few like gameplay details, but the graphics look really cool. You know, it's a big step up. Like, you know, like any number of these mundane task simulators, there was a certain amount of visual jank to the original House Flipper. At least when I played it, I know that they've done like weird enhancements and things. But they call
it the Valheim effect.
Yeah, it's a real arms race. Yeah, but looks pretty neat. I like the original House Flipper quite a bit, and more of it. A indicates that it's been successful for that team, and B means I get to do more inexplicably boring stuff.
No, it's inexplicably entertaining. It's very explicably boring.
Thank you. That is much more precise. I appreciate that.
So we're approaching the second wave of simulator games now.
And I'm here for it. Dennis, what new stuff have we learned about PSVR 2?
Yeah, I'm just going to be the drip feed of the little announcements that are coming out. Still no release date, but they have now officially released pictures of the helmet and talked about how the actual headset is changing. Most disappointingly, it's still a corded headset, so you know you're gonna have to deal with that. But that's the sacrifice you get for a relatively accessible VR platform. It is on the same like headband as the original PSVR, so it's the actual kind of screen and mounted piece that is different. And you know it's got the cool stuff. It's the in-helmet cameras. There's some nice quality of life things like adjustability of the lenses to kind of make it fit your face better. Yeah. The thing that intrigued me the most, however, is the fact that it now has vents.
That's important.
The team designed it. I don't know if it's a motorized system or just holes in the right places, but it's designed with vents that are meant to keep the lenses from fogging up, which anyone who has played Beat Saber or any one of those games knows how quickly things can get hard to see.
Oh, especially if you have glasses. Do you double the things? Yeah, I mean that's why for my Quest I bought prescription lenses to put over the lenses inside the headset, so I wouldn't have to wear my glasses inside of it.
So it's a real problem, and hopefully this solves it well. I don't know how much it's we've poked a hole that we can say does this, but it's not really going to make that much of a difference versus oh nice, these are never going to fog. But it's cool to see that level of care and attention going into it. Thing looks rad as hell. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's very svelte. It's very orb shaped. It makes you look more like a robot from a vodka ad, which is fun.
The future is now.
Future is sky.
but please, Svedka has the robots. Come on.
Yeah.
And Ben, what's happening with Bethesda?
So Bethesda has a gaming platform, which I didn't know before reading this article. But they have Bethesda.net, and that's how they sell a bunch of the games that they have to players, and they can launch them online. It's a competitor like Steam and Epic Game Store and stuff like that. They announced that in April, they are going to offload all of their games to Steam and basically migrate all their games over there. So anybody who has existing games in this will have the same games on Steam, but they will not be playable as soon as May of this year through Bethesda.net. So it's kind of like maybe one of the first stories of like a platform like this closing and kind of like having a migration plan for people. It's also another indication that Steam is kind of one of the only games in town, and they better a lot of pressure on them to continue to be a good service as time goes on, because literally all your games are there.
Yeah.
None of these games were exclusive to the Bethesda platform.
Right.
I don't believe so, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if you can play Fallout 76 on anything. I guess you can, but
yeah. You can play it on Steam. It's on Microsoft's the Game Pass as well. I would have figured that it would have gone to the Microsoft Pass, given the ownership status of Bethesda, but. There's probably a reason, and there's probably some calculus they made that makes that make sense.
And one funny detail of this story is that apparently Wolfenstein Youngblood saves cannot transfer for that game from their service to Steam. So
okay,
don't know what they're doing with that game, but okay.
It's a short game. That should be fine.
Okay, yeah.
Nice. Well, how do you all feel about buttoning it up?
I feel buttons.
The credit.
Thank you so much for listening to level number 404. We appreciate you taking the time. We are found, we forgot to make that joke. If David was here, he would have done that. But that's just the value proposition that he offers. Yeah. That sounded sarcastic, and I didn't mean it to.
You can't use business jargon and be genuine.
No, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. What were we going to say?
David would have also said that Stanley Parable was his favorite game, I'm sure.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Get that in the records.
Raves about it when he's not on mic. It's at this point, it's part of his brand. So reminder from the start of the episode, we are going to be skipping the regular episode next week and instead bringing a bonus level with me and Jala talking about Ace Attorney Justice for All, the second of the Phoenix Wright games. And then we should be back the week after that with a regular one. And I will have, at that point, had time to play Elden Ring, as will a lot of you. I hope if you have cleared time to play, that you are having fun and enjoying it as you are listening to this. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like stuff other than the usual, Patreon, Facebook, telling your friends, but I can't. Am I missing anything?
Play Elden Ring. It's going to be awesome.
I don't think they need our help.
Yeah.
Oh man. Cool. Well, I've been Kole Ross. You can find me on Twitter at Kole Ross.
I've been Dennis Furia. You can find me on Instagram at Deck of Wonders.
I'm Jala in places, and you can find that sexy carrot there.
And I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles. All right. I have one. It's a pissin' bird. We're gonna see. I feel fine with pissin'. I think we can get that by, especially if I stylize it. Drop the G and do an apostrophe.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like heckin' or anything.
Right. How dare you? Bite your tongue.
I've got a few, but they were all super early episode.
Okay. Go ahead.
Carrot gonna make me act a fool. On that note, don't you laugh at that. It was dumb.
I like the context of that one.
And 10 a.m. drunk.
It might have to be that. I have Attempted Survivors and the Valheim Effect.
Okay. Ben.
I also had the carrot one, but I had a couple different ways because I forgot what the exact phrasing was. Jala had it correctly. So.
Okay. All right. 10 a.m. I mean, do we want to do 10 a.m. drunk? One of you said.
I do.
Yeah.
Who would be against 10 a.m.
Whatever.
Okay.
Done.
Cool. Well, I need to go. I need to go and shut off the water in my house because of the problem that I have.
Good luck with everything, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good
Good
luck.
hanging out, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, just for the record, when he told me about the whole situation last week, I laughed. That was my initial reaction.
Yeah. Well, no, because
I was terrible and I laughed.
I started the story by saying I found a mushroom in my house.
Oh,
Yeah, there was a mushroom growing out of the crack in the baseboard. And I was like, that's probably not good. That's what got me to look and see some water damage. So trying to get that figured out. So, all right.
That's
Good
because
luck.
I was talking about my tub woes.
I laughed at your story about the dirt that was mixed in, that they mixed in, the contractor dirt that has no nutrients.
Yeah, it's no nutrients and not even weeds grow on it. And that's what I was starting with before I got all that compost. So
That's so funny. All right. Cool. Well, take care of everybody. I won't talk to you for 2 weeks. So be safe and
have
enjoy
fun
yourself.
in whatever they call the world of Elden Ring.
Yeah.
that's right. Enjoy.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
See you guys.
Night.
Bye.